Hello? Are we good? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are we still here? Like, it says that we disconnected for a moment. Okay, we're back. We're back. Okay, cool. Phew, that was scary. That was a strange little hiccup. I wonder why that happened. But yeah, I don't know where else I would be able to get a little keychain shaped like the Ecuador with the Ecuadorian flag on it. That one Simpsons joke about soccer. We're going to decide who the greatest country in the world is. Mexico, Portugal. Vamos Mexico, vamos Mexico. It is also really funny because like whenever my country goes out, I just start rooting for whatever Latino American country is up on the chopping block next. like like Goku giving his energy to Krillin. I'm like, okay, Ecuador's out. Who's up next? Vamos Guatemala. Guatemala número uno. Vamos Latinoamérica. Woof, woof, woof. Sports. Listen, I don't pay attention to sports until I do, and whenever I do, it's usually because sports are fucking awesome. I never learned to appreciate sports. I never got them, right? Like I never became appreciative of them. But even I know that when Ecuador is up, I gotta I gotta do my national duty. God. The patriotism entering my body whenever Ecuador is up in any kind of sports competition. We had a guy up on the Winter Olympics. Literally one guy. That still pisses me off. Like, we had one dude, and I don't think he was even from Ecuador. I think he was just on the Ecuadorian team, and we just sent him over. Like, oh yeah. No, enjoy your vacation, buddy. Like, what? What was the plan here, exactly? I only follow hockey and martial sports. Sumo is also awesome right now because a guy from Ukraine beat the Japanese champion. God. That feels like some shit that would happen in like a sumo version of Hajime no Ippo. I feel like I should be more into sumo. I feel like I would really enjoy getting into sumo as a sport, not becoming a sumo wrestler. I would most certainly be annihilated. I never really appreciated how much actual violence and fistfights are involved in hockey up until like I started working at my office because our so our break room at my office has a TV that's basically always on. And it usually is just tuned to a sports channel because that's I guess sufficiently neutral. And whenever there's like hockey on the screen, 5 times out of 10 they'll just start wailing on each other like they're gonna get rewarded for it, and they might actually. That's what I learned. There's like, I think they genuinely call the designated violence guy, the goon of the team, right? Like is that the term? Yeah. Genuinely, we got goons. We have violent goons who will fucking obliterate you with their fists. Like I was reading this manga called Dog's Red, which is made by the same person who made Golden Kamuy. And I was like, man, these guys sure are getting into a lot of fistfights for teenage sports because I was coming from like a background of only ever where like the most violent thing I witnessed in high school was like the touch rugby team, and again, touch rugby that's not particularly violent. And all of a sudden, like everybody's just beating the fuck out of each other, like it's going out of style, like it's their last day on Earth. It's incredible. See, the negative thing, the only bad thing really is that I think if you go into hockey expecting for it to be like the violent sport, I do think you are going to be a little bit disappointed as well. It's more like a sort of seasoning, I feel. Like it's like when a bracket reset happens in fighting games, right? Like it's exciting, but you shouldn't expect it to happen like every single time. Only some teams employ that strategy. Okay, so some teams do fight with honor. God, can you imagine? Imagine like being on a hockey team and being like, "Yeah, we're fighting the violent guys tomorrow." Yeah, yeah, just like maybe like in most sports, there's strategy involved. Yeah, and I do imagine there's like counter goon strategies as well. You don't need to outgoon the goon. You just need to get them to play your game. Now, I do think that it is. Yeah, we're going up against the guys who hospitalized the last team they went up against. So, maybe bring like. Do they sell like double tooth protectors? Like, is there like extra strength teeth guards? Yeah, bring those. Bring those. Yeah, yeah, the whole team. Yeah, nah, yeah, yeah. They're extended family too. We don't know how they got them, but they did. Yeah, yeah, nah, yeah. All right, see you later. Yeah, bye. Hockey isn't a real sport. Hockey's not. Hockey isn't real. Surely. Okay, then over here, we're gonna kind of go like this. I think. King Halo's underskirt overcoat combo is kind of strange because, like, so it's a dress, I think, but it's also very much like pointed down like this. Or maybe that's just the way that it's flowing right now, but that seems to be the case. Extremely interesting piece of fabric. Yeah. I feel like I would gain a lot more sympathy for sports if we had something like a first person camera available for the players. Because I feel like because my default sport to think of is football. As in like what Americans call soccer. And you see these guys moving around on the field and you can see individual movements, okay? Right? Like you can if somebody kicks, you can see that and you can see the technique behind it and sometimes it's hype. But I feel like I'd be able to appreciate it more if I saw like from first person perspective what the players were seeing because I feel like part of the disconnect for me is that it just looks like a bunch of people moving around on a field all willy-nilly and such. And because of that, I imagine that this is what it must have been like to be like the commander of a troop in the 2nd century or something. Because like you are usually posted up on a vantage point if you're lucky, where you can kind of command the troops' movements effectively from. And you see them moving and you're like, what the fuck are you idiots doing? No! But the guys can't hear you. They're on the ground. They can't see shit. They only see what's in front of them. It's tough for them. Yeah, and that's only if you're lucky because like 90% of the time you're right down there with them. You're also yelling what the fuck is going on while trying to give orders to people who know even less what's happening. So it's tough. It's difficult. I don't know. I wonder if games like For Honor or something like that might have had this development. I feel like that if we had situations where we had to adapt to giving commands to a team where we can't see them and we have to like get intelligence updates, I think it would create a really interesting kind of emergent gameplay, and also maybe one of the most toxic communities ever conceived. I don't think the second part is guaranteed, but it's my best guess of what would happen. I feel like that's maybe a pessimistic take. I don't know. Well, no, that's not true. There's going to be toxic people no matter what you do, just because of the because in any given thing that kind of blows up, there's going to be toxic people just because of sheer statistical probability. So maybe it's not good to get worked up over all of that. She has like the other thing about King Halo is that she has like a skirt under the first skirt, an underskirt, if you will. And I cannot, for the life of me, get details on. Wait, no, yes, I can. Okay, it's kind of, huh? Okay, so it's frilled, but it's also not frilled, which is weird. God. So I follow this one YouTuber called Marsh, and he does some great videos on Megami Tensei games. And recently, he's branched out to other horror games, like specifically like RPG Maker horror games from that were either untranslated or do have a translation but are relatively obscure. And it's been great. However, I have also I think the last time he uploaded before a couple of days ago was last year. And, you know, we're already into June of this year, so you can imagine why I was a little bit concerned for the guy. And it turns out that apparently he had like a lot of different issues kind of compiling the new video. To the extent that he was like, in the video, he was like, yeah, it's January. Brother, it's June. What do you mean? Like, I'm guessing the video was supposed to come out in January, but you know, delays kept pushing it back. Yeah. No, he was still talking about it being winter and stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like winter is the best season for horror." And I'm looking outside, and it's 20 degrees out, and there's like birds singing on my windowsill and shit. I take a quick peek at the sun outside, and it's got sunglasses on and like a little bit of sunblock on its nose. Ironically enough. Is it weirder or less weird for the personification of the sun to wear sunblock? I feel like it would make more sense for the personification of the sun to wear it. Just because of the fact that it does, you know, you're like right up there. Okay, like that. Very good. Yeah. I've been trying to go to more events in July. I've been looking forward to this weekend just because of the fact that it's the first time I've been like I've had a reason to leave the house during the weekend for maybe the whole thing for like all of June. And it's been great. I went to a little show last night. It had like these burlesque performances and it was really fun. I enjoyed it quite a lot. It's great. I really. It's great because there were some people who were doing like 1950s femme fatale looks in the whole ordeal, and I'm. It really did feel like we were supposed to have like a live piano player in there. It was awesome. It was also great because last night I got to take a little bit of time in like the open air and just really soak in like the air hasn't gotten like super hot just yet, so at night it gets pretty chilly. And last night I got to really soak some of that in. It was nice. It was quite pleasant. It was almost midnight. I was coming back home from hanging out at this performance. It was lovely, and there was a nice breeze in the air. And I think that's what summer's really about, is just being able to like walk home in relatively good weather. Just enjoying the kind of slight bite of the night chill. Also, one of the performers was dressed like Jason Voorhees, which was fucking incredible. He was really good too. Apparently, it was his debut. So that was exciting. Yeah, I also got to try out this drink called a Caribbean Bliss, which had this thing called melon liquor in it. And I gotta tell you, I might need to get some melon liquor and some Sprite myself because it was delicious. I wouldn't call it bliss, but it was certainly delightful. God. On the way to the show, it was also kind of weird because it was in a part of town that I don't usually go to. And moreover, I had to cut through a little park on the way there, which was fine. It was a nice summer evening, and I wasn't really worried about anything. Weird thing that happened though is that on the way out of the park, so I ran into like this like I want to say like middle-aged lady down the bottom of a hill at the park. And we kind of nodded to each other as we went on our way. And all of a sudden the fattest beagle I have ever seen in my life just barreled down the same hill that I came out of. And it was very clearly a beagle who had like run away from its owner because it still had its leash and harness, but nobody was holding on to it. So there was just this middle-aged lady, me, and this incredibly fat dog just kind of like looking at each other. Yeah, no, that beagle is experiencing freedom. Snoopy's gained a lot of weight since he stopped acting. It always cracked me up that Snoopy was supposed to be a beagle. Like that's just that I don't know what he is. I don't know what dog actually is, but that I don't think he's a beagle, man. Okay. God, it was a little bit like that one poem that's like, yes, yes, the tiger is out. He's the idea of a dog. That's what I'm saying. Exactly, you got it, you got it, you got it. Like, Snoopy isn't a dog, he is the dog, right? Like, he is like what a dog in its most abstract state should look like. He's like the shadow of a dog on Plato's cave. Like, we understand what a dog is supposed to look like thanks to him. Okay. Yeah. Also, kind of like how I was talking about the ref that I made for that OC earlier. I've recently gotten really into using this particular brush for just quick work whenever I'm drawing. It is the default marker felt pen brush in Clip Studio Paint. I don't know, it's very freeing to use it. Like, I still feel weird not using the G Pen for just rendering line art like this, but I've gotten really... I don't know, it feels good to use. It feels nice to use the marker pen whenever I'm just sketching stuff, or whenever I don't need to have a lot of detail. Or when I do need a lot of detail, but I just need to kind of sketch it out rather than create the clean copy. It's like that one writing tip that said that you should write in Comic Sans, because then, you know, you're almost not taking your own writing seriously, and you have a little bit more freedom. The Wikipedia page for Comic Sans is fascinating. There's a lot of information about it that I didn't really know. Particularly the fact that the guy who designed the font apparently also didn't really see much income from Microsoft outside of what he did receive for making the font in the first place. Which strikes me as somewhat wrong. On the other hand, if I was the guy who invited Comic Sans, seeing how some people talk about that font, I would also want to live in relative anonymity. So, it's a matter of perspective, I suppose. Okay, there we go. Now I am going to need to split this block up later on, because only the first bar is really attached to the chain like this. The next one makes up the first stroke of whatever letter is after it. But I can worry about that in just a second. I might also move this particular block a little bit to the left. And maybe a little bit lower than that. Okay. Then, kind of like this. I've also been hearing rumblings of people saying that, oh yeah, if you want to get better at art, you need to start working like zoomed out on your canvas. And the thing is that while I appreciate that and I can recognize that it's true, it's also probably not for me. Okay. I do think it helps a little bit to try to control your strokes, though. I do think that instead of like making lines like this and then trying to erase whatever doesn't fit, I do think that trying to be more mindful with how I make the stroke in the first place has been huge for time saving. Okay, and then sort of like this. Perfect. Is that gonna look right? I feel like I need to put it a little bit more... Yeah, a little bit more to the left, or to the right. Okay. God, whenever I look into an Uma Musume's design, it's really funny to see like their prototype version, because who the fuck are you? Who is it? That's not my good buddy El Contrapasa. That's fucking el loro está volando. That's not Grass Wander. That's fucking Curious Knoll. I don't know. It's really interesting. I don't usually feel this way looking at like prototype designs of other characters, but for this one in particular, it's evoked a really visceral reaction in me. Okay. Something about this doesn't seem quite right. I think maybe we need to readjust this. Okay. Kind of straightening this out. Perfect. Nice, nice, nice. And then maybe rotating this so it follows the curves of my wrist. Yes, sir. I feel like next week at my job is going to be kind of interesting, because I feel like there's a few different things that I need to follow up on, but none of them are really anything that I have the power to action myself. So it's really just going to be me playing the part of like an annoying tutorial NPC, being like, hey, I did ask you for this thing, maybe you should follow up on that. And the cool thing is that if you're annoying enough, it actually works. It's great. It's awesome that literally 90% of the time my job is to be annoying to either my client or people who I'll never have to speak to again. Because literally there's no consequences for just being like the ultimate squeaky wheel and getting my oil. And the even better part is that even if I do work with these people and I do have to see them again eventually, they're not actually going to be mad at me. They're just gonna be like, yeah, that guy's super persistent. I might as well just cooperate with him. Being annoying, being good at your job are two separate things. But being annoyingly good at your job is kind of what gets you results. It's awesome. I love professional development. Okay. I'm going to leave the stripes and everything off until the end, I think. I do, however, need to add the bow that's in her outfit that I, again, didn't even realize she had. Maybe this is because I haven't actually played Uma Musume. I swore off gacha games in the summer of 2019, not 2019, 2022, 2020. I swore off gacha games in the winter of 2021. No, that's also wrong. I swore off gacha games in the winter. No, in the summer of 2021? Spring? I think it might have been the spring. It would have been... Okay, when did Event 3 drop for Fate Grand Order? Summer Event 3. In global. Okay. No, I think this is all for future events. Yeah, this is definitely all future events. It would have been around that time that I just uninstalled everything. I don't remember. It was sometime around 2021, I think. That's really all the info. That's really as close as I can get you without having an actual calendar. I think I might have screenshots of the last polls that I did because I remember I was really excited to get Mysterious Heroine X. No, wait, XX. I keep getting them confused because they have only one difference of a letter in their name. Okay. Yeah, King Halo also has like this ribbon on her back, which thankfully I don't need to figure out how that in particular works. But you know, I'll need to remember that it's there. Might actually have to move this a little bit to the left as well. I don't want to go too crazy on the thighs. Which is typically not something I say, but you know. I feel like every now and again it's useful to practice restraint. Up. Okay, and then that's going to come in like this. And then this one's going to be like this. I will say I think this particular set of frills is like my favorite on King Halo's costume, just because of the fact that they look so neatly organized. Like they look very perfectly and neatly layered on top of one another, and it's very satisfying to me for some reason. Okay. And that's gonna kind of go in like this. Perfect. I need to start getting more of the music that I've picked up from random albums that I've bought at the record store for like less than $2. It's fucking awesome. They just have this insane bargain bin where I just keep finding these gems. Or at least I like to think of them as gems. Some people call these albums trash. Me, I call them treasure. I can't even... I should have rocks thrown at me for making a Skyrim joke in 2025. Despite everything, Skyrim has had like a surprisingly long half-life as a meme. Like, I don't know how they accomplished it. I don't know how they did it. I think it might be just because of the fact that everybody's refusing to let it die. I think that's definitely kind of a part of it, is that it is very much a deliberate thing by people who enjoy the jokes. I don't know, it's kind of heartwarming. I feel like having something that is just persistently there forever as a cultural touchstone is really fascinating from an anthropological perspective, but also really helpful from a joke perspective. Although I feel like the guy who says like some people call this junk, me I call it treasures, people from Skyrim, the shop NPCs, I feel like you don't see as much of, they don't get as much play these days. I feel like the card was a real big winner of the whole Skyrim meme generation. Okay. I feel like it's weird that I'm thinking about the racing uniforms that the Oujousama have again, and I feel like it's weird that I don't have a specific one which I would say is my favorite. I feel like everybody's got a favorite one, but I don't have one just yet. Okay. And that's gonna kind of fold in like this, and then that's gonna kind of go like this. I wonder how difficult it is to put frills on stuff now. I'm not particularly interested in frill clothing, but I'm pretty sure you can just like buy a ream of frill and then just like sew that onto whatever you've got going, right? Or is it different? I feel like I've seen those like they're almost like washi tape but made out of fabric of frill, but maybe I've got it wrong. Or maybe that is an option, but it's not it's not like the only option, if that makes sense. Well, I would doubt it's the only option ever, but The manufacture of clothing has been of interest to me recently. Particularly where I can find certain types of clothing that's made. Because I feel like I want to refresh my wardrobe at least for like my workwear. Which I feel like I could maybe... I don't know, it feels weird. Like my workwear is dress shirts and slacks because I work at an office, right? But like... I don't know, I feel like I could get like better fitting ones. Or maybe ones that I personally like wearing more. Like, you know how everybody has like a favorite pair of pants in their closet? I want to be... I feel like I have the resources to just be able to buy pants that I just like. Now this would have to go like this. Lest we kind of shove this a little bit closer. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. And then we just kind of echo that on the second layer. What else have I recently learned about? Oh yeah, I learned about this fucked up mineral medicine that they used to give people called, was it calomel? I remember that it had like a name that sounded like kind of like caramel or camonel. Camonel, mercury, medicine, calomel. That's what it was. It was called calomel. Let me see if I can get a picture of it. So this is the crystals that it produces. Yeah. Let's see. By the 19th century, calomel was viewed as a panacea or miracle drug and was used against almost every disease, including syphilis, bronchitis, cholera, ingrown toenails, teething, gout, tuberculosis, influenza, and cancer. During the 18th and early 19th centuries, pharmacists used it sparingly. But by the late 1840s, it was being prescribed in heroic doses, in part due to the research of Benjamin Rush, who coined the term heroic dose to mean about 20 grams taken 4 times daily. This stance was supported by Samuel Cartwright, who believed that large doses were gentlest on the body. As calomel rose in popularity, more research was done into how it worked. So, this contains a lot of mercury. And I'm not sure if you've brushed up on bodily chemistry, but that's not great for you. In fact, famously, it's quite lethal. So that's fun. I don't know. It's awesome because I started reading about opium the other day, right? And it kind of opened the floodgates on a bunch of other quack medicine. The thing about opium is that it is highly addictive, and in the way that it was prescribed, very much a quack medicine, but it does actually do what it's supposed to do. It is genuinely just that good for relieving pain. Like the radioactive old Garfield and the Scooby-Doo mugs and glasses. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. It's crazy. We used to be giving people anything, and we still do to some extent. Like you can still buy those like magnetic bracelets that are supposed to improve your balance and whatnot at grocery stores, right? Like these things that are, by all accounts, have been proven to be somewhat bogus, or substantially bogus, as the case may be. Like they are still persistent because like nobody's like really kind of made laws against producing them, because like theoretically they can still claim all these benefits as long as they have like some kind of asterisk. Yeah. I've learned since a while back that the radioactive cookware, like the radioactive dinnerware, is fine to just like have around the house if you don't keep it on with the stuff that you normally use to eat, and also you don't eat off of it. Like it's fine as a decorative thing, but you definitely shouldn't be eating off of those. We can have a little bit of thigh squish. Okay. I didn't know about the Scooby-Doo set of mugs and glasses. I knew about the radioactive Garfield, but I didn't know about the Scooby-Doo. Okay. So here's where I'm at. I'm going to grab this thigh, maybe move it a little bit to the left, or to the right. Yeah, I think the right. Just move it over here, rotate it like so. Squish it down a little bit, because right now it feels a little bit excessive. And right back to where it was. Lovely. God. Right, I remember last night when I was getting home from the show, I ran into this person who was wearing these, what I can only describe as platform Crocs that had like the Scooby-Doo logo on them, and like they looked like the Mystery Machine. And they were so fucking cool, I actually said out loud, "I love your shoes." Like sometimes you see a jacket or an article of clothing that goes a little bit too hard and you kind of out loud have to say, "Damn!" The background music feels like a mystery story mode game, like there's things afoot to discover. Also real. Yeah. Actually, yeah, this... Oh shit, hang on. It does look like it was a little bit loud, though. Is the music volume good? I turned it down just a little bit right now, but... I don't know if that's, if it was intrusive, perhaps. I've been trying to... I use two different programs for the music that I play during stream during the art streams, which is the same mix that I always use, that I should probably refresh at some point. It's good volume now? Thanks. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I use two different programs for the music that I play during the co-working streams and the music that I play during art streams. I use my music player program for the co-working streams, since usually I'm playing the albums that I find at the bargain bin. And I use VLC Media Player to, you know, just use a playlist that I've kind of curated from Bandcamp Bandcamp albums tagged with Barber beats that were also on sale, and usually for some of these you can just buy the entire discography of the artist for like $20 or something. And it is a little bit exploitative of me to take advantage of this offer, but I do pay them the $20. So this is always okay. This is throwing me off. Okay, no, okay. I was gonna say the garter belt is kind of throwing me off a little bit. I was about to say the garter belt is pissing me off, which isn't true. The garter belt is throwing me off a little bit because I thought for a minute that didn't have the, like, there was like this part and this part are both filled with like a black material, but I thought for a minute that this part was like empty and just skin. Okay. I should save my work. But yeah, if I can get up to putting the flats on these, what time is it now? I have like... Okay, I can probably keep going for another hour or so, I want to say. So I'm going to try and finish the line art for this one, and start on the line art for the other character. I think that's going to be doable. But yeah, no, I've recently been on a kick of learning about like ancient medicine and kind of like these practices which we now regard as blatantly incorrect, just quite blatantly incorrect. But at the time they were regarded as pretty much just what you did for a sick person. I don't know. It's kind of fascinating. I'm glad that I live in modern times where there's like vaccines and people wouldn't want to trepan me for the bizarre things that I say and talk about. Trepan? I don't remember the exact wording for that. Yeah, thank you, Pliny the Elder. Thank you, Pliny the Elder. Thank you, guy who discovered alkaloid chemistry. Thank you, pollinators for making the plants that we extract the alkaloids from. Thank you, penicillin. Thank you, people who used to carry around, who worked on primitive methods of vaccination, like those people who had little acorns full of pus or scabs and shit, and they would like stab a needle into you with that on there to inoculate you, which did surprisingly work. But I remember that it was not that, but it's obviously not best practices. Shout out to that one guy who got shot and had a permanent hole in his stomach, which some guy was a pervert about. No, it really is crazy just how good we've gotten at medicine. Like, just in terms of sheer efficacy. Because, like, you read about, like this calomel stuff that I was talking about earlier, right? And you're like, what are you... Like, you kind of have to wonder if it actually did anything for the patient. Like, okay, it had mercury, but people also said that it was a panacea. So did it actually solve anything? Like, did it actually make you better? Or did it just make you more sick and we were just like, oh yeah, some people recovered after we gave them this, so I guess it must work. Like, that's what always interests me about these not alternative medicines, but these like primitive medicines. Like, okay, obviously these have to have worked at least once, but like, would we not have noticed eventually? Like, I don't know, it's just so fascinating. And obviously now we are able to share scientific knowledge and medical discoveries a little bit faster thanks to the internet, but like, there were still medical journals back in the day. It is also crazy that surgeons used to be regarded not as great as doctors. Just because of the way that, like, barber surgeons were kind of rolled into one profession, they weren't really as respected as doctors because they were seen as, like, primitive because they only dealt with external maladies. Right, like if you had to amputate somebody's limb, that was you were regarded as kind of a dumbass medically speaking because oh, you're not like a real doctor who can like cure people's insides. And it's like, all right, first of all, buddy, you're not curing people's insides either. You're giving them fucking 40 milligrams of ammonia and telling them, yeah, good luck, shithead. All right, you are not. You are throwing some very heavy rocks inside of a delicate glass house. God. Okay, and then over here like this. Yes, sir. Speaking of music, I am also very excited for this next upcoming work week because I've been listening a lot to this Argentinian rap duo called Paco Amoroso y Catriel. And I've been enjoying their music a lot recently, so I've been listening to some tracks here and there, but I finally bought the albums online, so I'm excited to finally just be able to listen to them while I work next week. Okay, and then over here, gonna go like this. Perfect. Would I be missing anything? Okay, no, the liner for this one would be pretty much... No, I'm missing the shirt. I'm missing the rest of the shirt. Okay. Come on, buddy. There we go. Hang on, I need to do something with this calf. Me when I work at a farm. I feel like if I keep relying on jokes like me when I X in that kind of format, one day I'm gonna eventually just say something truly bizarre. Well, I've already said plenty of strange things already. I think maybe there is a genuine thesis to be made, a bona fide thesis to be made that jokes where you're like, me when I do this, maybe they do promote some manner of sympathy. Maybe they work your empathy muscles a little bit. Who knows? Maybe this is beneficial for my overall emotional well-being. I miss having a functioning Twitter. I don't know. I don't know if I've discussed this in the time that in the interim period. I have in fact been suspended from my Twitter account because they think I'm impersonating someone. So I haven't been able to post or really use its functionalities at all. I'm stuck looking at the For You page like some kind of schmuck. Which has been quite a test of my patience. The crazy part is that last week I submitted a second appeal just because like the first one got rejected. And they were like, oh, yeah, our bad. We restored your account's functionalities. And no, they haven't. The functionalities are still not restored, man. I'm probably going to draft a new one tonight. Yeah, I'm also thinking it was like a bot, like definitely like some kind of stupid AI thing where they were like, oh yeah, let's just see which accounts might be might be like doing false behaviors or whatever, and it somehow flagged mine. I don't think I'm of sufficient interest to have like a dedicated spam suspension report hater. I don't think anybody would have it out for me in that way. If I do, I think I would like to like confront them. I don't know. I feel like my life has gotten too peaceful recently. What I really need to motivate myself is somebody who hates me. I don't think that's true. I think I think it would definitely be like getting a new toy, right? You're excited about it for all of 5 seconds, but then you like get bored of it. I think that's why I'm not good at making enemies. I feel like if I had like a rival or an opponent who I had to like dedicate my brain space to hate on for meaningful amounts of my time every day. I think I would just eventually just get bored of it and be like, yeah, no, I'm done here. God, recently I've been rereading. I reread like the One Piece wiki page for this guy Shiryu, and I didn't clock it at the time that I actually read it. But he took like the devil fruit power from somebody who was really annoying, and I was glad that. And I'm like, oh wait, he's dead. Damn. Wait, no, that's a good thing. I hated that guy. Like, it's not good that this guy is stronger than ever, but I am also glad that the other guy who had it is also just no more. Never have to worry about seeing his annoying ass on my page ever again. Is the line art done? Pretty much. I think I am missing still the little tail thingamabob. Not tail. It's not a tail, it's a ribbon. Okay. I do want to maybe alter the shape in such a way that it does have more dimension at the end here. If only so that I can attach the little pendant it has at the end here with less suspicion. Hashtag my octahedron. That's definitely not how that's supposed to dangle. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I think it would fall like a little bit around here. Maybe a little bit more to the left just because it's not currently in motion. Okay, perfect. That being said, we would have to cut off the tip of the octahedron now. Perfect. Okay, I think the line art for her is complete then. Maybe I should make her head a little less tall. Okay. Grab this. Uh-oh. Seems like I forgot to grab a lot of the eye there. Let's try that again. I think she also has a beauty mark, which I need to remember to add. Nose is also going to need to be re-angled a tiny bit. Every time I give the women I draw a nose bridge, I'm like, I'm doing my part. Because it really has started to bug me recently, just like seeing just the lack of nose bridges on, you know, artists who draw like I do, right? I'm not gonna call it like anime style, right? Like anime inspired, maybe, but you know, fewer and fewer people are including nose bridges, and I feel like I need to do my duty to preserve this beautiful part of the face. Okay. Right, the shirt. I think I actually got a snapshot of what the shirt looks like. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be the blue part. There's a little bit of a frill next to it. You need a different screenshot. Okay, yeah. Oh! Okay, the blue part only comes in from one side. Interesting. I didn't even realize that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now it's all coming together. Okay. Okay, and then... Okay, 1, 2, 3 stripes and then the frills. And then there's a little bit of extra just kind of up to around here, I want to say. Wonderful. Okay, we finished the lineup for this character right now, and I think we can move on to the second character in the commission, which is over here. We can decrease her opacity and just get started on that. I've been wondering recently if the face is really the best part for me to start working on, if that makes sense. Like, maybe I should mix it up once in a while. Maybe I should start from the feet first one time. Okay, so I had to take a little moment of silence to really consider what I've said just now. I still stand by it, but I'll be more mindful of my words in the future. No, it's fine. I didn't mean anything by it. You know, I can't imagine they're very good for. They're very like good podiatrically. I can't imagine they're good for your foot health, but I do kind of miss seeing those insanely pointy shoes that everybody used to have back in the day. Not even like medieval times, like up until the 80s, people were still wearing these. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen a guy rock some real computer clip that no my streak of not having a stance on feet, which is actually a great pun, come to think of it, has been ruined. No, but I feel like it's been a while since I've seen some guy rock some Waluigi ass clogs. You know what I mean? Like I feel like dude, like guy with like really pointy shoes was just someone you ran into back in the day. Now they're an endangered species because everybody's just switched to wearing overpriced sneakers. Like you don't even play basketball. Why are you spending $800 on a pair of basketball shoes, man? I feel on the other hand, I feel like basketball shoe guys are more tolerable than like I feel like they're a different kind of intolerable, right? Like basketball shoe guys are, the ones who can like get really into it. I feel like part of it is very much that they don't play basketball, so it's kind of tough to respect that purchasing decision. On the other hand, like the really, really, really fancy shoe guys, like the ones who are like, oh yeah, these are made by a bespoke Italian guy who I had to solicit off of LinkedIn, and they cost $800 to ship into this country alone. Those two guys are made up of two different people who are both very different, and only one of them's really intolerable. Because like one of them is like very much the wannabe Patrick Bateman guy who was like, oh man, who watched that one highlight reel of American Psycho and was like, dude, this guy's so cool. I bet I could be like him if I emulated his lifestyle. Who didn't really get like the commentary of Patrick Bateman and only see him in like Sigma edits with funk music. Or they're like menswear perverts who are really in the know on like what is actually genuinely considered men's fashion. And those guys are all right because like it is a form of knowledge. It is a knowledge base that you can rely on. On the other hand, you do also have to kind of contend with like the curse that knowledge brings, if that makes sense. Like once you get deep enough into a specific subculture might not be the right word. Once you have like sufficient esoteric knowledge on a specific field, like in this particular case like men's fashion, I feel like it becomes more difficult for you to engage on a pedestrian level with it, which it has its ups and downs, right? Because like if somebody's curious about it, you can like go on like a fairly long explanation, and you can kind of impress your friends and family that way. But at the same time, it becomes like a sort of loss of innocence that lets you kind of behave about things normally. And this is true for any kind of knowledge, really. Well, there's nothing to be unhappy about if you know more about something. Besides, knowing more about something isn't a guarantee that it's going to be more difficult to talk to you. That's right. There's nothing wrong with seeking knowledge. Actually, I kind of wish I knew a little bit more about menswear, come to think of it. I feel like, okay, so recently I've been thinking about it, right? And it's like, okay, women's clothing. What makes women's clothing have so much more variety than men's clothing, right? And, maybe I think one big part of it is colors. A lot of men's clothing these days is very muted. I don't know. I feel like there has to be something more than I feel though. And I feel like if I knew more about men's fashion, I'd be able to like create something more unique for myself. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I think the main obstacle in creating like a distinctive looking style for yourself as a guy is that first of all, there's only so many variations of pants you can wear without looking ridiculous. And also the fact that I think you need to like I don't know how to put it, like hmm. Like the way that I've been looking at it is that you need to figure out in feminine clothing what makes it more interesting and try to apply that in like a masculine way. But the thing is that I'm not really super aware of masculinity either. Not that I really know a whole lot about femininity either, so really, I just need to get more knowledgeable about fashion. Like I feel like I can make a nice outfit for a character design, but that's much different to like dressing yourself. To be fair, you are rice. That is true. To be fair, I am a bag of rice. What is that noise? There we go. Yeah. I just wish there was like a good resource to kind of look into this stuff for. Because I feel like there has to be, like with drawing, right? You know how like early last week we were drawing cubes and everything and talking about primitives and how you can use those to create more complex forms and visualize in 3D space. I imagine that similar to that in almost every discipline or field of knowledge there has to be some kind of principle that you can apply kind of universally and go from there as a way to move forward. Right? Like there has to be some kind of foundational knowledge that everyone has access to. Well, not everyone has access to, but that it is accessible to everyone. Best way to find out about fashion is pick a decade, and then you can find styles and trends in the names of these styles. That's a good idea. I bet my library probably has some reference books on this. They do have. I do know that for a fact that they have a reference book on hairstyles throughout like the modern century. So maybe I should try and lean on those for a little bit. Or see if there's something equivalent for fashion. They probably also have some fashion magazines or something. That'll probably have to wait until after I've wrapped up my business in September. Yeah. I think the thing that's really saved my skin over the years regarding character design and fashion is the fact that even though I'm not particularly knowledgeable about fashion and fields of and types of fashion, I do know I am very good at researching. So I can just kind of Google my way to victory. I don't know. Is that how you learned about Fashion Bunny? Or is, like, if you were to approach the problem, how would you solve it? Like, besides the thing that you just said that is the solution for this problem, to just pick a decade and look into it. Like, do you think there's like a particular thing that was influential for you? It's a mix of being obsessed with a style and looking it up. I love nothing, so that might be a little bit difficult for me, but I'll bear that in mind. That seems like a surefire solution for real. Okay. For me, if you like a color palette and seeing what comes up for that palette, ooh, that's a really interesting idea. Kind of working backwards. You know, that's a really good idea, actually, because I feel like when I design an outfit, right, I think about like I always design stuff in black and white. I don't really design stuff in color. So I think maybe that's been something that's been holding me back as well. Come to think of it. Like things like color palette and everything, I decide on that while I'm coloring the outfit. So I think maybe taking that approach would be really, really good, actually. Okay. For example, I like more fashion and very earthy, woodsy, simple, and face slash. Woodsy, simple, and lace or sweaters, etc. So another example like kitcore, which is bright neons. Yeah. That makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. That's really helpful. I feel like I hadn't considered it before from the color perspective. But that is like a huge part of fashion. Okay. Then for these ones, let's actually just use the vector eraser tool for these. Okay. And then maybe a second one around here. It is really funny because, okay, so I will say that one thing that I've noticed as well, that, so a little while back, I think this was, I want to say like, yeah, it would have been sometime like November of last year. I was looking to get a couple of new jackets, so I was actually like looking up things like trends for 2025 or 2026, right? Like what are the jacket trends? What's hot right now? And it was like, oh yeah, quilted jackets are kind of a big thing. Go get some of those. And I was like, okay, yes, hoorah, let's do that. And it worked great for me, but then I started noticing how many other people were wearing quilted jackets. And I don't know, it wasn't bad, but it was kind of funny to see. It was also really funny to see because like when I was like shopping for the jackets, I kept running into like these Carhartt jackets that had like this very kind of very workwear feel to them, right? Like very rough outer textile, very kind of like warehouse factory job kind of look to them. I was like, wow, these look nice, but they're a little bit outside of my price range. I'll probably go get something else. But then I started seeing, I saw the same looking Carhartt jacket in at least 3 different stores that I visited. It was like haunting me. And then later this year, when I was going to my office during the wintertime, one of my coworkers was wearing that exact fucking jacket. It's the closest I felt to being haunted. I really want to go thrift shopping again as well. It's been a year or so since the last trip that I took, so I'd really like to get myself something nice. Jacket that follows. Yeah, it's like that Chef Boyardee can commercial, except evil. Or morally neutral, I think. I don't know. Is Carhartt an evil brand? Is it associated with, like, evil deeds of any kind? I feel like it isn't. I feel like I would have heard if it was. I feel like Carhartt is probably morally neutral at best. I don't know. I've never heard of Carhartt being particularly evil. Okay, then over here. I feel like I was wronged by a guy that wears a Carhartt jacket. It feels like one of those like TikTok book pitch ideas, like that one crow who eats plastic, or a crow boy who eats plastic. I don't know. I remember seeing that. It got big on Tumblr for a little bit. Okay, nice. And here we go. Yeah, no, I still have a thing that I found at a thrift shop that I know would make for a really good stream bit, but I still have no idea how to implement it or the wherewithal to really organize a bit like that. That's definitely definitely a thing that I'll have to tackle after September. June in general has just felt kind of weird because I feel like there's like this there is like very much a sword dangling over my head for things that I have to take care of in September, but really I'm actually quite up to date with most of my deadlines. Like in theory I haven't missed any deadlines. It just feels like I'm running out of time, which is anxiety inducing, but not really like of consequence. Okay. So the hand. Or actually, let's keep making the body silhouette next. Honestly, given how relatively simple this outfit is, I might be able to get this line art done as well. Okay, Okay. Also, I'm gonna check in real quick on how Ecuador is doing up against the Ivory Coast. Okay, we're going 0-0 so far. Which is good. I don't... at least it seems like we're going 0-0. I think... Okay, the match started about an hour ago. So we're looking at least another hour before the match results are finalized. Pardon me. That sneeze snuck up on me. I didn't do... I feel like sneezes... I am glad, right? I'm grateful that sneezes give you enough of, like, a body sort of heads up. Thank you. I'm glad that sneezes give you, like, enough of a body... Like, you can sense a sneeze is coming, right? To the extent that, like, you know it's coming, but you can't really... It varies from, like, whether you can do anything about it or not. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes they... It's like you have, like, 3 seconds to react, so you can do the full elbow to... hand in the elbow. Nose to the elbow. Polite antiviral reflex technique, right? And you can engage to that. But in other times, it's like less than a second before detonation. And in those cases, what can you really do? Okay. Maybe a little bit more like this. Actually, would that make sense for how long her legs are? Maybe I need to, like, decrease the length of the dress. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Let me tell you, though, I do not miss being sick this year. Oh, yeah, that was a nasty 3 or 4 days. I think I spent, like... This was more than a month ago by this point, but I spent a couple of days this year sick like a dog, and thankfully I recovered pretty quickly, or relatively quickly. I recovered, period, which is really what's important. Okay, and over here. Okay. I need to start doing more nose studies again, because I keep trying to add a nostril to these noses, and it's not working in a way that I would want it to. Like, I know there's a nostril somewhere around there, but I keep having issues, like, placing it. Or adding it in a way that looks graceful. There we go. Like, there has to be a solution. I know there is one. I just don't know the solution itself. Also, I think the left shoe's a little bit bigger than the right one. Let's correct that. Or rather, the left shoe is bigger than it needs to be. Okay. Okay, I just got a word in my head, which is quaalude, and I remember that that's a type of animal, but I don't remember what. No, okay, that's a drug. I probably remember it because of my research into medicine. Okay, right. Yep. Okay, yep. Quaalude does sound like it should be like some kind of subspecies of jellyfish, though. I don't know. I feel like occasionally what'll happen is that I'll get a word stuck in my head, and I'll be like, I remember what that means, or I remember where I heard that phrase, but I don't remember the exact origin of it, and it bugs me until I finally remember to research like the origin of the phrase or like what it's supposed or what the its meaning actually is. But I think that's a pretty common experience, right? I think everybody forgets the meaning of certain words, or they remember a phrase that they really liked but don't remember where they heard it from. Okay. We'll add it like this, and then the ring finger is going to extend like this. That doesn't seem quite right. And yep, this all looks good so far. I will say I'm very satisfied with my progress on making nice eyelashes. I feel like I used to struggle with that much more, but now it's kind of gotten the signs of it down. Or at least my own specific method for doing it. Okay. This is gonna go in like this. Fabulous. Something about this doesn't seem right, though. Oh yeah, it's probably throwing me off that they don't have ears. Or human ears. They don't have human ears. Okay, and... Yeah, okay. Did I draw the... Hang on, did I draw the diamonds on the... I did it, or did I? No, I didn't. Okay, hang on, I need to do something real quick. I need to go back to this one. Where are the two little diamonds? Oh shit, there's little diamonds on her shoes too. God damn it. Alright. That's easily fixed, however. Okay. Not you. Okay, she has them on the opposite sides of her thing. And also, I realized that this one should look like this. Fabulous. Okay. That being said, on her shirt, on her overcoat, on the inside, kind of around here, she should have these two little diamonds as well. Awesome. Okay. Nice. Boy, am I glad I remembered those right now. If I had left that until the last minute, I might have genuinely wept a little bit. I mean, I would have recovered after 5 minutes, like you always do, but... You know, the tears would have been there. Okay. That's not exactly how her hair flows. I need to adjust the eyebrows a little bit, but I'm not sure how. Actually, wait, yeah, I could probably just make this part of the hair a little bit thinner. Kind of reconstitute what its specific thickness is at certain intervals, because it looks like it is... Hang on. Yeah, hang on. Okay. And yeah, this way we can have a little bit of the eyebrow on the left. We also need to make this one a little bit closer in. This little fringe here. Let's try this. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna kind of move in like this. I need a different angle. That's good. Okay, a very clean lateral part. That doesn't seem right. Okay, let's try this. We'll add a little curve here. And yeah, okay, that's looking much better. Okay, and that's gonna kind of come up like this. Okay. This ribbon also needs a little bit of a rework. Yeah, sort of like that. Needs to be a little bit narrower at the cinch, too. Okay. What I do also really critically need to remember is that she has a tail, and I should probably add that right now, because I feel like I have a really bad track record with adding tails to people who have them. There we go. Okay, now we don't have to worry about that ever again. Okay, I think I'm going to probably end things here for today. I think this is a pretty good spot. Okay, this isn't the greatest spot to end on, but I do think I'm going to end things here for today, just since I do have a few other things I need to take care of before the end of the night. Thank you all very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to have had a little conversation. I'm always happy to have a quick chat. Take care of yourselves. Have a good week, and I'll see you all on Tuesday. Later. Bye.